Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. My name is Reuben, joined here today with Aaron, and we are back to review A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, Episode 1, A Hedge Knight. The Hedge Knight. And before we get into today's review, we want to let you guys know that you can listen to this wherever you get your podcasts and follow us on social medias at Nerd Soup, at Beau Soup, at Nerd Soup Monkey, and go ahead and check out our Patreon page if you're interested in more Nerd Soup. That's where you're going to find it. So the spinoff, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, based on George R.R. Martin's novellas, taking place roughly 100 years before the events of Game of Thrones, around there, approximately, following the story of Sir Dunk the Tall, although he hasn't earned that name. I'm sure that's going to be a big moment when he gets it. Yeah, we've been anticipating this. I think the novellas, the stories were well received, and George R. R. Martin is a co-creator, along with Ira Parker, who has written most of the episodes for this first season, which looks like it's going to run for about 3 seasons, 6 episodes each. So 30-minute episodes. First time a Game of Thrones spinoff hasn't occupied that 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. time slot. So Aaron, I'll throw it to you. What did you think about this opening episode, this introduction, reintroduction to the world, and introduction to some new characters for the audience?
I enjoyed it. I think it's definitely a shift in tone from what we're used to when it comes to, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, which I don't mind. I think the story itself and the characters kind of lend for this little bit of a more lighthearted approach. So kind of maybe seem a little bit jarring to people because maybe that's not what they were expecting. But I think from the trailer, it kind of set the tone. So I was kind of going into it, maybe expecting a little bit more of a lightheartedness, but I don't think it really took me out of it whatsoever, and I kind of, enjoyed. I know who these characters are from reading the novella, so it was just cool to see them on screen. And Game of Thrones, since the ending, really hasn't really had the same reputation as it once had, and we all know that. But I mean, you put me in this world, you start saying shit like, I don't know, just Ashford and like Manderleys and Baratheons, and I'm gonna be happy. It doesn't really take much for me. Just say some shit that I remember from the books and bring me back to this world. And for the most part, I'm going to be like, hell yeah, this is sick. But it was a bit of I don't want to say a slow start, but just setting kind of the tone, establishing where we are and what's going to happen going forward. Nothing, I don't think, crazy happened this episode, but I thought it was a nice little introduction.
Yeah, it was. I kind of like the humor and the tone. It was a bit different from what we've seen, like the flashbacks when Dunk is thinking about his time with Sir Arlen, and he would remark about the beatings he would take or some of the wounds that Sir Arlen suffered. And I found those scenes to be funny. And I thought the new actor playing Sir Dunk was very charming in his role. He does have this, obviously, he's very big in stature, 6'5", Peter Claffey. But he does have an innocence about him, that he is new to this. And, when he's talking to the two women, and they say that we've seen many green boys come through and lose everything. Even somebody like Sir Dunk with that stature, he can be counted out because you don't have the name, you don't have the reputation, and we know how important that is in Westeros. So it's a character trying to make his name. As of now, he is the Hedge Knight, and he's trying to become something more. And I thought the chemistry that he had with young Egg, played by Dexter Soul Ansel, was very cute and charming as well. That's a tough role to play for a child because you need to be funny, you need to be solid, you need to be able to compete with these adult actors, and I think that he was good. And like I said, the overall tone, it reminded me a lot of an anime, Frieren, where it's slower in pace in a fantasy world where you recognize a lot of the fantasy elements, but it's not your typical tone. It's a harsh and difficult world, but there's going to be some humor. There's going to be moments of levity that I think felt very natural for the story that they're trying to tell. It wasn't modern humor. It was humor that fit the tone and the setting of this world. And I thought, I'm not sure exactly who played him, but I'll look up the name. Oh, Daniel Ings as Lionel Baratheon, I thought stole the show. That whole sequence inside the tent was just everybody having a good time. It was very well shot, very well lit. Yeah, that was fun. He definitely stole the show for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think some of the humor always landed, but there was a couple parts that really made me genuinely laugh. I think the flashbacks were fucking hilarious. Or even when he's like, he always meant for me to be a knight, and they flash back and he just doesn't say a word to him. like, and when
Yeah,
they
that was
cut
funny.
when they cut from them dancing, and then it's just him wearing the Baratheon crown. I thought that was just a very good visual humor there.
Yeah, it's how men become best friends. By the end of the night, you're wearing his crown, and he's telling you that you're never going to make anything of your life. So those are lifelong bonds being forged.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, when it comes to the Baratheons, they think of Robert Baratheon, the king. So that definitely felt like someone who would be Robert's ancestor. He also reminded me a lot of Peter Dinklage. He kind of just looks like Peter Dinklage. They share a resemblance.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, very animated with his facial expressions and some of the smiles. Yeah, he's kind of, he's a Baratheon, but reminded me of a Lannister as well. So that was fun.
Yeah, and I don't mind that it doesn't take itself too seriously. I mean, right from the get, like teasing the Game of Thrones theme, and it's just Dunk taking a shit.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I got so pissed off when I heard that theme coming in. I was like, there's no way they're going to do it again, right? And then, yeah, they kind of shitted on that idea. I wonder if that was George being like, you know what? Let's make fun of Ryan Condal. Let's just totally shit on him on his spinoff, since I don't like him anymore.
I mean, George has no goodwill left with me.
Really? You're over here glazing his shows. You know he wrote this, right?
Just put the quill on the paper, bro.
Then you should be boycotting this.
Nah, he's still my boy.
Yeah, you won't do that, right? Yeah, if you ran into that boy, you'd be like, "Oh, George, I'm such a big fan."
Yeah, of course. I just want the book, man. Come on.
Yeah, but I think this is, I mean, it feels like something that maybe should have been 3 long movies, but we will see how it all plays out, because it looks like every episode is going to be around 30 minutes, and this is going to be the longest episode. I didn't stick around after the credits. I don't know if they did the whole post-game recap with Malika Andrews, but it looks like episode by episode it's going to be what we aren't accustomed to with Game of Thrones, with House of the Dragon, where you get those 40, 50-minute episodes.
Yeah, to fit the tone, they had the Inside the NBA guys on at the end.
Got those big women down in Ashford. Right, Dunk? Dunk's all shy. He's like, I don't know anything about that. Just trying to do my job. Yeah, and then some of the names that you recognize, like the Dondarrions. We talked about the Baratheons. So that was in this episode, he's trying to get Sir Manfred to vouch for him. I thought the scene when he was first trying to enlist was very funny. The way that guy was spitting in that cup was so gross, and the way that he kept negging him and fucking with him a little bit, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was disgusting. Nothing like creeps me out more than like when somebody loads up to spit.
It's the loading up that is the worst. Just hearing all the fluids.
But I think with Dunk too, it's like I saw someone make this point online. Like it really is like a unique protagonist in that he doesn't come off as like this morally complex or gray character or stoic, maybe as like a Ned Stark was, or any of these like introductions to main characters that we've had before. He's just very like this goofy guy who's just instantly likable, you know? There are some complexities with this character, but like your first introduction is kind of who he is, and it's a very likable representation, and someone that like, yeah, I don't know this guy, I just met him, but I want him to succeed. He seems just like a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely got a naivete about him that makes him likable and sympathetic, that there isn't some grand ulterior motive, and that he is chasing things that feed his ego, wanting this stature, wanting to become a true knight, but it doesn't feel malicious from the character whatsoever. And that's why the casting was so great, because he gives off that vibe of someone who potentially could become very formidable, but he's not quite there yet. And it's because there are things about this world that he doesn't understand. You know, he thinks that people are just going to take him by his word. This is what I've experienced. This is what Sir Arlen left me. That's not how this world works, and we know that. You know, you need those relationships. You need people to vouch for you. It's all about building your name and your reputation. So at this point, he's a big fish because he's just a big dude, but he's stepped into the ocean of Westeros. So it's his first steps, and I think that he had a good time with the Baratheons. He sees a different side of the world when it comes to Manfred, who won't vouch for him. He's got the great line about, we've forgotten knights that have taken more than just a wound when it comes to the people who have fought for our house. So it's him trying to juggle these personalities with his own ambitions, and it's lighthearted, so it's fun for the audience.
Yeah, and I think the dynamic between him and Egg is one that, we've seen kind of these odd couples in Game of Thrones before, and, mostly when you look at like the Hound and Arya, obviously the Hound and Dunk are very different, but, just it's just a funny visual. There's a big towering man and small child taking on the world together. It's fun.
Yeah, it is funny to think that this duo came after the Hound and Arya, because the Hound and Arya almost seems like you're trying to deconstruct the simple duo that is Dunk and Egg.
Yeah. And I think that's just like a fun pairing. I think when it comes to Egg and their relationship going forward, like it is just one that is, like you said, just a genuine relationship. Egg wants to be a squire. He needs a squire, and that's really it. Let's be friends. I'll look after you. And it was a nice moment at the end when he's just like, earn your keep. I can't give you much, but I can what I'll give you. And he just like a certain honor in that character, I think, comes off as very likable and trustworthy.
Yeah, and I think that these characters, for the audience, more of a blank slate than we're used to. When you're introduced to Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, you can sort of put it together for yourself who these characters are and what they represent. Obviously, there would be more characterization down the road, but for these characters, they're trying to figure out who they are, and I think there is some mystery there that we're not quite sure what the backstory is, other than the flashbacks we get with Sir Arlen. But also for Egg, who is this boy? Where does he come from? And why is he so wise? So that's been a fun dynamic too. It's we've seen it before, but the older character who learns a lot from his younger companion, that he just because you're older, just because you're more mature, doesn't mean that you can't learn from someone who's younger than you. So I think that's why the dynamic is fun too. That was a great wholesome line there to end the episode when Egg is commenting on the shooting star, that only those who see it get the luck. Dunk tells him to go to sleep, and then he asks him, so the luck is ours. And that's the first.
That was funny. He's like, yeah, why are you asking his little boy for some profound response?
Right, yeah. And the little boy was, I'm not even going to bless you with that. You told me to go to sleep, so.
Bro, I don't know. I'm watching I Show Speed streams, dude. Go to sleep.
Speed's Essos tour.
I think they have, brain rot in Westeros?
I'm trying to think. Have we ever seen? Yeah, I guess the puppet show. Stop watching those damn puppets on your iPad. I always love that too. Like, I wonder what the budget is per episode, but I complimented the lighting, the cinematography, but even the puppet shows, that's probably the best production we've seen in Westeros so far. The dragon, the fire, very well designed.
Yeah, and it's an easy show. Not obviously it's not an easy show to make, but when we think about like the set pieces and the different landscapes and locations they go to for Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, I mean, this is just a very straightforward story where it isn't going to get the budget of a House of the Dragon, but I think there's a lot you can do because it's really just a very condensed, you make this beautiful set piece for the tourney and you kind of just play in that arena for a while. So I think maybe it's not going to get the budget of a House of the Dragon because of just what it is and where it's set. Like you can do a lot within that budget that you get.
Yeah, it would be fun to compare this budget for Game of Thrones Season 1, because you would imagine this budget will even be bigger because it was, such a new thing at the time. So it's a bit of a risk. Now it's more of a guaranteed success. So, and there was, there's a great line when he's talking to the two prostitutes and they refer to him as a whore. And I actually chuckled at that because it is true. He's in a very similar spot as these two women where he is selling his body for money. And I think that's one of the aspects we loved about A Song of Ice and Fire and the first Game of Thrones series is they would focus on the regular people and their struggles, the extreme poverty. We saw it in the midst of a war. This is peacetime, but there's still a lot of desperation to where you have to pinch your pennies. You have to be conscious of how much you spend and where your next meal is coming from. So when one of the characters asks Dunk if he's hungry and his response is always, that's a great treat for him to be able to not just party with these lords of Westeros, but to have a giant piece of chicken. And we know how the knights in this universe love their chicken. So it's a show that's mostly going to be focusing on the people on the ground in this world, the people with nothing who are trying to gain something by any means necessary. And like we see with Dunk, willing to put his life on the line and his horses on the line, because he makes the remark that if he loses, he won't have enough to ransom back his horses. So it's that desperation in this world that they're focusing on. And I think that's always going to be relatable for people, especially in this economy. And with King Darren raising the tariffs on SOs, I mean, come on. Trying to buy Bravos. And even the scene when he is partying with the Baratheons, some incredible dance moves there too. But when Baratheon starts stepping on his feet, a moment where they're building some camaraderie, and he's having fun with him. But there's also the contrast in hierarchy there, that even though you are bigger, even though you are presumably stronger than me, I can still step on your feet. You're always going to be responding to my moves and the direction that I'm going. You're going to have to budge and adjust. So I thought that was an interesting, it's fun, the interaction between them, but I think there's also some commentary there on status, especially when in the next scene, Dunk is talking about how almost confiding in Lionel about his insecurities and his lack of resources, and Lionel's too drunk to really understand, and even if he was sober, and he's telling Lionel that you have an inheritance, you have a name, you have all this, you have everything essentially that I will never have, and even to get a fraction of it, I'm going to have to fight tooth and nail. So I thought that commentary was interesting throughout the episode, between the haves and the have-nots in this world.
Yeah, just it'll just be interesting to see. I mean, obviously he still needs to get someone to vouch for him to join the tourney, but just him adjusting, like you said, it's a very different world for him, and he kind of does play that fish out of water pretty well when he gets there, with all the pageantry and the tents and the knights, and not really belonging, because not only is he not a famous knight, but he's also a hedge knight, not aligned to any house or lord. So he's kind of just on his own, trying to find his own way. So I think that's just an interesting story. It doesn't have to be what we're used to with this world, where you're vying for the throne or some grand kind of end game. It's just very simple, very straightforward. This is Sir Duncan the Tall, and he just needs to find out where his next meal is going to come from,
Yeah, and I think it's a story that usually won't get this sort of attention or budget or promotion because it's a spin-off of a larger project that people know, and it has that name recognition. You get to focus on something that's a bit smaller, a bit more intimate, less action, obviously no dragons. So it's something that you typically don't see studios taking a chance on, but because it is Game of Thrones, they're willing to take that. And it's really not a risk, because I think this is going to do well, and we'll see how it's received. I think that some people will definitely come into it thinking, where's Daenerys, where's Drogon? It's like, well, no, they canceled that. They're not doing the Jon Snow spinoff. Did you read the details on that? That sounded awful. But yeah, I think it's something for people to have fun with.
No, I didn't read the details.
Oh my God, absolute, just horrible fan fiction.
I mean, it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, they're saying the Arya spinoff.
That was my idea the other day. Have Arya,
run into young Griff, right?
Yeah, just do the young Griff thing. Doesn't make sense, but just a huge plot you can kind of plug in to a different era on the show and kind of go from there. That's a jumping off point. I don't know where to take it. They don't pay me enough to figure that out. I'm just giving you the jumping off part. Do what you do, Hollywood.
I saw somebody point out when Dunk is talking to Lionel, and Lionel keeps asking him all those questions, and the face that Dunk had was similar to Drewski when he's pointing at himself. Like, you talking to me? Like, when he asks him, what did you bring? And Dunk is holding the pastry. I thought he was going to offer up the pastry. Like, you want a bite of this? This is pretty fire. That was shot so well, too, dude. Just the conversation, Lionel's table, and Dunk's standing there, clueless, just a giant man. And he's still being talked down by this great lord. So that was very cinematic. Looked like a painting, honestly. And everything inside of the tent was beautifully shot.
Yeah, that's funny. Visual Lionel doing the Drewski bit. Get him the fuck out of here, man.
That's kind of what it felt like. He was judging everybody from that table. And when he made his big speech and he was going to say something profound and nobody was following him, it was like when Walter White was trying to teach Jesse chemistry And he's like, and what element are we going to use? And he's showing them the copper wire. Jesse's like, oh, wire. Nobody got it. Poor Sir Lionel. He was great. See you, sir? Everybody's a fucking sir in this universe.
Did you watch, like, coming up on the next episode trailer?
No, I didn't. Drogon?
No.
Oh.
The Night King. No, but like they they gave a lot.
Oh, they gave the game away?
Pretty much. I was surprised how much they showed.
That's interesting. I guess they're a little worried, maybe.
Yeah, like, don't worry, like, people will fight.
People will die, trust me. They will die. All men must die.
Yeah, it was weird. They kind of showed pretty much the whole plot, and then like Dunk gets into finance, and it's like a collab with industry. They're really testing the limits here.
Okay, that feels a little bit too desperate.
He put like 100 gold dragons on. I don't even know enough about finance to finish this bit.
Sir Duncan the Short.
Sir Duncan the Short. That's funny. That's like when the squire called him half man, even though he's tall. That's the good fun humor I like.
Yeah, it's clean.
That's what gets me up in the morning. You know. That was funny. And Dunk was like, "What are you talking about? I'm not a half man." It's like, yeah, bud, that's the joke. You know, it's like the skinny friend named Bubba. You know.
You put Harper Stern in this universe, she's sitting on the Iron Throne eventually. A lot of dead bodies in her wake. Yeah, but good first episode. It's going to be interesting to see how they land week to week, as I mentioned, with the shorter run times. So we'll see if there's enough story to sustain week to week releases. But so far, so good. I thought it was a good opening episode.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much. I think they'll do well, but just how much of like the broader Game of Thrones fandom kind of, A, do they know this is even out? And B, is it something that they're interested in and will continue to watch? But I think there's enough fans who will just watch just to watch, you know?
Yeah, and luckily what they have the benefit of is all those social media accounts with millions and millions of followers. So whenever they come out with something new, the Game of Thrones account starts tweeting about it, posting about it. Same thing with House of the Dragon. So they definitely have some built-in marketing advantages, and I can't imagine it's going to be as popular as something as House of the Dragon, but maybe we'll be surprised.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of the trend we're going to see. I know they were talking about Aegon's Conquest potentially being in development, so
yeah, and there's a lot. They set up some fun things too, like the drunken man in the tavern. Who the hell is that? So there is some mystery, there is some threads that they're setting up here that can be fun for the audience. Aegon's Conquest is like what's the drama there? Just goes village to village committing 9/11s.
Yeah, I just want to see, like, he's basically just going to be like watching.
Yeah, it's like watching Mike Tyson.
Like, or like Joy, like those Bulls teams. It's like, yeah, we know what's going to happen, but it's still fun to watch. Just putting a beat down on everybody. It's basically just like the Dodgers playing the Marlins over and over again. It becomes, the intrigue isn't like who's going to win the game. It's like, how many home runs is Ohtani going to hit?
Right, yeah. How many people will burn in this battle?
But then the Dornish, down 3-1.
The Dornish were winning down 4-0. I don't know how they were doing it.
Yeah, the drama there is going to be like, oh, which one of my sisters am I going to fuck? Oh, man. Oh, what castle am I going to burn to ash? Oh, God, this is so annoying.
Yeah, just episode by episode. Every cliffhanger is which sister is he going to fuck?
I got to have sex with one of my hot sisters and mass murder today. Oh, man.
Another long day of aura farming. Better get the good conditioner.
Oh, man, I got to mog the Reach today. Oh,
yeah.
No. Yeah, greenlight it. I'm ready.
All right, good episode. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, episode 1, The Hedge Knight. Aaron, thanks for joining me. We will be back next week to talk about episode 2. I always enjoy when we enjoy a Game of Thrones or a Song of Ice and Fire production. Never like it when I have to be mean. So I felt like, yeah, this was good. And then it's going to be fun when everything gets changed around in season 2 and George R. R. Martin is shitting on Ira Parker.
Yeah,
He's just
I wonder
going
what
scorched earth these days.
I'm gonna start taking bets. Like, will Blackfire be mentioned? They haven't done it in anything else.
No, I think they will. It wouldn't make sense for them to avoid that. But we've been wrong before. That would actually be the thing that would piss George off.
You know what pisses me off?
That he's got 1,100 pages written of Winds of Winter and he won't just publish it.
Yep.
Bro, they need to send in the team that got Maduro to take those manuscripts.
Probably be harder.